So this is your first film with Ridley Scott. Tell me a bit about what those first conversations were like coming into his world with Napoleon.
Okay, well, Ridley Scott is a legend, as I think you all know, and he's a super smart guy who talks about a lot of things, but getting him to talk about the music was quite hard, actually. I didn't get many conversations with him, but when he did talk about it, it was really about talking about the character, not being prescriptive about the music, not saying, you know, I want this kind of piece, I want strings or horns or something else. He was just like, I want you to understand Napoleon as a character and what that meant, and that he was an outsider, that he came from Corsica, that he wasn't a polished aristocrat like many of the officers in the army. And that's in fact why he escaped the guillotine, because he was a lowly ranking aristocrat, if that's possible. But he was, and he wanted me to represent that in the music. He wanted that to, the sense that he was not a super posh guy. So he was just a relatively simple, straightforward guy. He was a bit of a fighter, and yeah, so he wanted something simple, something like almost like a gangster-esque type little tune. And that was what you heard in the second piece with the trumpet. That was a sort of very simple waltz, 3/4 time, and yeah, hopefully we through the simplicity we got into his head a little bit.
An element we don't get here is a pretty cool kind of choral part from these Corsican singers. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, I'm afraid, unfortunately, we couldn't get the Corsicans out here. They didn't like to travel, and they also don't like to sing along to anything else. They like to be in a room with themselves, singing. They won't have anything in their headphones. It was a nightmare trying to record them. But the results are amazing, because it's all about the harmonies in the room and that spatial stuff that they get. So it was, yeah, but unfortunately didn't get to hear it tonight.
The lush, dark sound, it kind of...
Yeah, it's very rich. I mean, there was a guy who literally sounded like a didgeridoo. Yeah. And the other thing I'm afraid you didn't get to hear was we actually tracked down, Darren, my fantastic agent, tracked down the Napoleon's piano, or a piano that Napoleon owned, which is in fact just outside the M25 around London, in a small museum, who knew. And we recorded that, and that also sounded pretty bad. But it had a rough element, you know, that it was after, and we got that into the score. Yeah.
That was kind of a theme, though, right? There was like a roughness.
Exactly. And there's quite a lot of source music, there's a lot of kind of music, classical music of the time there, and the score had to exist at a very separate space from that, and do something different from that. Yeah.
So, as much as this is about the rise and fall of Napoleon, specifically, it's also about his relationship with Josephine. How does she kind of factor in terms of themes and whatever?
Yeah, we have a Josephine theme. I mean, it's not, I would say it's called Napoleon for a reason, and that's where we focused our energies, definitely. But she has a theme, and it's
What is it like to get to work with accordion so much?
Accordion's a fantastic instrument, and respect to our accordion player tonight. Lovely, and that was also what Ridley Scott talked about quite a bit. Was he wanted to play it lighter. He didn't want it to be a super dark experience, and so he wanted lightness and comedy in the music. And Joaquin Phoenix plays it for comedy as well. You know, it's really interesting the line he treads in that. So we did that bit in the music too.
What can you tell us about the drums, like the kinds of drums you were using for these big
yeah, I mean, the drums are always important. I try not to use percussion, overuse it, because it's such a thing in every battle scene. So they're there and they're important. And timpanis, obviously, you've got to have timpanis in Napoleon, obviously. You've got to have kettle drums. But I try not to overuse them and find other ways of doing, you know, not reaching for the most obvious thing, always. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I just want to say one last thing, you know, just because I think I want to put the record straight. Napoleon wasn't that small. He was actually 5'6", which from where I'm standing is a pretty handsome height, so...
So what are you going to take, you've worked on so many incredible projects, what are you going to take away from this one?
Well, I mean, just surviving it, you know, just being here tonight.